And we are live with episode 169 of the Start Bill Grow Show. Oh, Randy Brothers, my friend, what is going on? How we doing?
I'm good, man. Ready to go. Fall is here.
Yeah.
Q4 is here. Got a little vacation done, and we're ready to rock and roll, man. And once again, we just keep getting hit up with awesome guests
hmm
that are gonna bring the energy, bring the hype, and make it happen, man. We've
Hey,
had some awesome times with getting to know and get to hang out with Jason with C3 Group. Um, and honestly, we were just talking about this, how like probably one of the best overall meals we've ever had, like just out and about, like we had in Orlando, and that it was like the best sushi ever. It was epic. And this guy's like
hey, where was
he's a
my invite, man?
adjuster, the whole deal, but he's
So,
a foodie as well. So we may have
so,
to talk about food here at some
So
point.
you guys jump in on this live session to tell me that you guys had the best sushi without me in Orlando. Is that how it works, Jason?
It was. I got to be honest. You missed a heck of a night. It was
Where was my
amazing.
invite? Where was my invite? I feel left out now, man. But no, hey Jason, man, we are extremely excited to have you. How you doing today, my friend?
I am blessed to be here, man. I'm super excited.
Well, everybody that we have from C3 Group has been awesome. Super smart, super personable, a lot of, just a great time to hang out with. So we appreciate you joining us today. You know, with everybody that comes on this show, you know the drill, right? We go into the background, the story time, right? We get to know each other a little bit more, right? So, Jason, how did you get into the roofing space or in the PA space, and what's your background?
Thank you. Great question. My background actually is in the hospitality industry.
Ah,
So I was born and raised in the food, hospitality, restaurant management, hotel industry. So my background and core beliefs are built around hospitality service and understanding
mm-hmm.
customer needs above everything else. So that comes natural just since I was raised in that as a background.
How long were you in that space?
20 years.
20 years, dang. So you,
You know,
you learned a lot from that space.
I did. That's 15 years old washing dishes, on my bicycle to get to work. So, I paid my dues. It was, I'm very grateful for it. I had some amazing mentors along the way in management that kind of taught me the ropes,
Mm-hmm.
being successful in that space. So, yeah, it was great. It was a great foundation of understanding the fundamentals of any business, to
Yeah.
be honest. Any business, if you can run a restaurant, you can run any business.
Restaurant's not easy either. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're looking at it, I mean, that's one of the hardest spaces. What was some of the things that you learned in the restaurant space?
Well, let's say you're a restaurant owner or a contractor. One of the things that you learn is just because you know how to cook or you know how to put on a roof doesn't mean you know how to customer service somebody when they're unhappy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Knowing how to handle an upset guest or client, learning how to manage your team and staff, doing the administrative side of your business, the PR, the HR, the marketing, sales. So there's a lot of hats you wear,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to wear them with grace, and you got to be humble about it since you have to deal with different personality types.
So Matt, first off, Matt just rubbed it in. He said, "We're even there, Nick Perret." So he tagged me. So he's rubbing in that I miss the sushi. But Jason, that's an interesting topic. Have we ever even talked about that, Randy? How to handle an upset customer? I don't feel like that's something we've really touched on very much throughout the show.
I mean, I think a little bit, and I talk a lot about that in coaching and individual sessions with people and stuff like that. But I think really what defines a company is not like all the bells and whistles and how great you are at production or sales or the best brand in the world, but really what defines a company is how you handle yourself and what your process is when things go wrong.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Are you the type of person, are you the type of leader, are you the type of company that just blames everybody else and tucks your tail and runs, or are you the type of company and type of person that's going to just dive in head first, own your own whatever the issue is, and figure it out and solve it, right? And that's there's some innate skill, I think, but you got to kind of learn that process, you
Yep.
know. But having somebody, I mean, if you grow your roofing company, right? This company is about growth. People listen and they want to grow their roofing companies. And there's a certain, no matter what you do, there's a certain percentage, small percentage if you're doing things well, or a large percentage if you're not doing things so well, of unhappy customers, of frustrated customers, or things that are going to go wrong on a project. Okay, you've got to have a process in place of how to handle those things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some the stuff you can research this, but first and foremost, what I've learned is most of the time when you have a really upset customer, and this applies to the restaurant industry as well, which I cut my teeth there too, but they just want somebody to listen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's rule number one.
Rule number one, listen.
It is. There's
Acknowledge.
actually an acronym for that.
L.A.S.T, right?
That's it.
Let's hear it.
I'll let you, you're
Yeah,
the man.
Jason.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
you
go
got
with
let
it, go with
Jason
it.
roll with this, man. This
Randy,
is
I'm very proud of you for understanding that is so important and crucial in any industry. And part of I'm gonna say C3, but all the leadership team at C3 is how do we move the needle in the roofing industry? How do we have these tough conversations with contractors and saying, how do we add value and say we're sincerely trying to help? Here are some other facets that you might not be exposed to. We can help add a little bit of stress-free moments in your life by kind of being there when it's tough, having those tough conversations. So I'm proud of you for understanding how important that is.
We literally have that printed in our office, right? So with managers,
oh man,
and of course now I'm doing it's like listen, acknowledge, and what's the S and the T? Like I'm of course.
So listen is just that. Don't interrupt. Just let them get it out of their system. You'd be shocked how many times somebody just wants to be heard. That's it. They just want to be heard. And if you really listen to them, they'll usually tell you what they're asking for, right? Instead of assuming anything. Sometimes they just want to feel heard. And, if you can feel felt found, understand where they're coming from, that helps resolve it from the beginning. A can be acknowledge or apologize, but it's usually apologize for the situation. And 90% of the time it's a miscommunication somewhere. It's nothing malicious, but you got, like you said, you got to own it. Mm-hmm. So if you can get past those two steps, the next is S is solve. How do you solve the underlying issue? Because it's not really about today's problem. It's how do I solve this for the future? How do I get them to be a reliable referral source, a repeat customer, and that's solving it for the future too. Mm-hmm. And the most important one is thank them. And if you thank them for having the courage to say, can I speak to the manager? I'm really upset about this experience. Can I speak to the owner? I'm not happy with my roof. And if they took the time and had the courage to make that tough phone call, it's because they care or they want to help your business become better. So you better have some humble pie and listen to that feedback. Mm-hmm. So that thank you part, you have to thank them for having the courage to call you and say, hey, listen, I just wanted to communicate with you and let you know what happened. So if you don't thank them, they're going to feel like they're being aggressive or they're going to feel this way and they might feel guilty. Yeah. That goes into my 110 rule about any service industry, which is if you do a good job, they might tell one person. But if you do a crappy job, they're going to tell 10.
Yep.
So how do you penetrate that market of 9 or 10 that aren't talking to you, letting you know there's a problem, right? Mm-hmm. If you kind of create a condition or you condition your clientele to say, please, I'm the owner, contact me. If it's not perfect and I'm striving for perfect, please contact me. And you got to make that conversation had, even with your staff or employees, let them know, contact me if it's not perfect.
Well, I think that crosses over too, because I heard I think it's 85% of consumers won't tell you if they're upset or won't tell you if they have an issue. They're just not going to come back. Mm-hmm. In the restaurant world, that's a recipe for disaster.
100%.
I mean, for roofing, your customers aren't just buying roofs all the time, unless you're in Norman, Oklahoma, which apparently that's like a thing.
If you guys are in Norman and you guys are watching or listening, so let us know what you guys are seeing out there.
They're busy. They're too busy selling roofs, and they're not watching us. The rest of us in Colorado are just like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, right.
So, but that's powerful though, if you think about it. If nearly all your customers that are upset aren't going to tell you that they're upset, how do you know what to fix? So when you do get that person, that customer that is going to come to you, that's, you should be looking at as an opportunity all the time. It's always an opportunity to get better and to figure out and solve their problem and to troubleshoot and to, I see it as an opportunity. And if you do a good job, what I talked about early on of, how you handle the problems is what kind of determines who you are as a company. But that your worst customers can eventually be your best advocates if you do this properly.
100%. 100%. One of my funny stories was managing a restaurant and there was a UFC fight on TV, and I had a really unruly customer who was a pain in the butt. Just from every category, just being obnoxious. And he's like 6'6", and I'm like 5'7" with my shoes on. And I go up to this big, loud guy, and I had a really great conversation with him. Years later, he was one of my best men in my wedding.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
crazy.
Yeah, that's
Just everybody has an opportunity to be your new best friend, but you don't know that.
hmm
Well, go back to the schoolyard, right? I mean, maybe this is, a male female thing, but like, go back to the schoolyard. You have an issue with your friend, you guys just duke it out right then and there, and then 10 minutes later, you're best friends.
Yeah,
Good to go, right? You just
yeah.
gotta hit
Luckily,
it
we
head
were
on.
raised in that era that we could have those tough conversations.
Yeah, you just got to hit it head on. Rip off that band-aid and just take ownership and figure it out.
Well,
That's it.
so I mean, Randy, how do you handle that situation? So, we went through the acronym, right? And it kind of gave this story of how to handle it. So if we took an actual situation, now I'm gonna give Randy some props here, right? If you pull up his Google My Business, right? He's got 4.9 rating, 386 5-star reviews, right? So he's doing something right. But when in that rare circumstances when something bad does happen, and you get a 1-star or 2-star review, what is your guys' process of how to handle that?
So it's adjusted a little bit over the years, as we've kind of scaled up. At first, well, the process I guess remains the same, but I got to give all the credit to having a rock star business partner, who's a lot more level headed than I am. There's a certain amount of process you can follow, but there's also certain triggers that just become really hard not to just become obnoxious or upset or frustrated. And that's a challenge for a lot of us. A lot of us,
Mm-hmm.
kind of the type A, like really kind of raw. Like I've been through a lot of those situations, but again, just let them lay into you without reacting. If they're that upset, that's the listen part. They just need to be heard. Listen, listen,
Mm-hmm.
listen, acknowledge. Yep. Okay. You acknowledge their frustration, acknowledge their pain. This doesn't mean you're admitting guilt, right? It's just acknowledging,
Yeah,
sorry that I'm sorry that, your garage door got drove through because of because of our guy backing a trailer into your house. That wasn't, no example that has happened, you know, uh, and then you want to go to problem solve, right? Reason with them. And what can I do to serve? What can we do to solve this problem, right? Most of the time, that communication and taking ownership and listening is 90% of the battle. Then it becomes, people
absolutely.
are reasonable. Like, they want to have an outcome. They don't want to just yell and yell and yell with no outcome. So
Yeah,
you have to be able to know when to transition into what is the proper outcome. What is the solution that's going to be, one of the things I live by is the 7 habits of highly effective people, right? Stephen Covey. What's one of his rules? Win-win, right? You got to find what's that win-win solution that we both can can leave out of here with. And even if it's not like a win-win, we can both leave knowing that, hey, it's an acceptable outcome for both parties, right?
it's
And
perception.
my
That's it.
business
It's the
partner is,
perception of win.
yeah. But if you don't want one person leaving out of there like, oh, I just got raked over the coals, because they're gonna resentment, it's gonna come back.
Correct.
Right. And you just got to take ownership, man. Write a check to pay for whatever you got to pay, own your issues, even if sometimes understand when to push and when not to either.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes, you may feel like you're 100% in the right, but if it's a $500 issue on a job, and you know that, here, if I just literally cut you a $500 check, this goes away, even though you feel you're right, know when those battles are worth fighting and when they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And again, I've had to deal with a lot of this. I mean, 18 years in construction was plenty of times we've had plenty of issues. But luckily, I mean, I have an amazing business partner that took that on for a while. We grew to where we were doing over 1,000 roofs a year. You're going to have a certain number of trouble clients. You do 1,000 roofs, even at 1%, that's 10 people that are just irate, frustrated, very angry, right?
Yep.
Or 2% or whatever the number may be. And it just so happens that the way the life cycle of our year as roofers, it all tends to come at once. So bless his eye. I'm very grateful. I mean, he might be listening here. Cody, appreciate you, brother, because like he would deal with it. It would all kind of seem to come September, right? Pretty much right now. It'd be like all the mad customers that we're trying to get paid from, they're all frustrated. And it would just compile and pound and stack up on him. And he just dealt with them, took ownership, went to their house, acknowledged, and did what he had to do to solve the problems. And a lot of them ended up becoming, advocates of our company and protected our reputation. But at the end of the day, leadership, someone in leadership, whether it's uncomfortable or not, has got to dive in head first and get out ahead of challenges any way you can.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add on to that review aspect. Do you ever look up a restaurant reviews? What's the first thing you do when you pull up the review section?
What do you do, Randy?
Look for that 1 star. Look for the crappy one.
So,
You're
so
going to
the
look
next
for
thing
the
you
worst
do,
review.
that's
right?
it. So you consciously look for the worst to justify the standard. And then you say, is that a reasonable cause to be upset? And you've seen it before where people have the most outlandish, complaints. And then you say, if that's the worst complaint, I'm happy. So it's kind of the expectation setting. I had to wait 4 hours to get my food because they were on a wait. Well, that's a busy restaurant. And if they're on a wait, that means they're doing something right. And if that's your only complaint, there's a line out the door. Okay, I'll go there.
Mm-hmm.
So people do those reviews and really kind of judging you on your worst case scenario is how they really judge you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an opportunity. I tell people, own those spots. Be the owner who replies back and says, I'm so sorry for the miscommunication. I'm going to reach out to you personally. Regardless of the results, the community is going to watch and see how you respond.
100%. All right, so now we're going to be diving into core values and the impact you can have in your business. We're going to talk a little bit about culture and culture-driven sales. So, do you kind of want to set the tone, Jason, with this and kind of talk about what culture is and what kind of that means at C3 Group, and then from there we'll kind of go into the implementation for roofing contractors from there.
Sure. All right. So the first question, and by the way, I'll probably guys ask you a lot of questions today because I kind of want people to think about some of the things we're going to talk about. And it's really, do you know what the definition of culture is? And how would you convey to your team what culture is? And basically, if you want to sum it up, it's the collective ideas of everyone having a common goal and sharing in it and believing in it. And whatever that community is or family is, that's a culture within itself. So if you think about it on a macro scale, really as small as you want to go, that's really what culture is. So obviously you have different areas for that, but it's important to understand that. It's important to know the fundamentals of business, but if you don't know people or the business relationship side, it doesn't matter. So, I always say we're not in the public ingestion business. We're not in the roofing industry. We're in the people business.
Yep. 100%.
Without people, we have no business.
100%.
Your staff and clients.
100%.
Now,
go ahead. Go ahead.
So the core values is something we live and breathe. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to contractors for the first time, and they're like, "Oh, I know Matt Behrens," and I'm like, "What you don't know is that is Matt 24 hours a day. What you don't know is the whole management team is like that 24 hours a day. It's not something because they're nice to you on the phone or meet and greet you. That is the whole team 24 hours a day. And it makes it a very addictive environment to say, I want to be part of this positive environment. So it really just kind of spreads out from a sincere manner, like, hey, I want to be part of that. And then it just kind of grows from there because everyone has the same belief system.
So what are some of the core values that you guys have that you guys focus on at C3 Group?
So my favorite, and this is something from the top down everyone conveys consistently, which is humility. Matt Behrens and Taylor and Olivia and Eric and our whole team, Andrew Behrens, these guys are the best in the industry. I mean, they're top of the line 24/7, but they're the most humble people who make themselves approachable. So if I've got dumb questions, they make me feel like it was worth all the time in the world to spend with me to work on it. So if
Mm-hmm.
anybody in the team's got questions or they want to engage, or if you own a tough, let's say you messed up, you feel comfortable to say, I messed up. What should I have done for future reference? So that humbleness and the from the top down is my favorite one. That's hard to find. Like Randy said earlier, we're dealing with a bunch of alphas who all want to be the king Superman, but and I'm blessed to be in an environment where everyone believes that we're on the same team and we're all equal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a huge one, right? Especially in the roofing space. Humility, don't you think?
Oh, I think it's huge in all spaces, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
100%.
who wants to be around an arrogant person, right? Nobody just doesn't nobody wants to be around that person, right? And I think, a lot of the culture is depicted from the energy that is put down from the top down, right? The
Yeah.
energy that we as leaders, put out. And if we're always negative, always frustrated, always angry, I mean, this is going to have a negative, environment, extra negative impact on the culture if the energy that we put out, and again, you mentioned like, you're never going to meet like Matt or Andy or Matt's watching right now. Like it's always positive, always a good conversation, always going to be a good time. And that's just the culture you're going to have in the business. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
have challenges, you're going to have ups and downs. Everyone goes through it. Like, business isn't all like cupcakes and rainbows. It's challenging. Life is challenging,
Yeah.
but if you're always looking for, this is one thing we all need to take, and I continually try to work on too, is every challenge and every trial and tribulation that we face is an opportunity to find silver linings, to find something to learn from, and to find, if you can train yourself to always find the positive out of every situation, that's going to have a tremendous impact on your
Mm-hmm.
personal culture, your family culture, your culture in your business, your culture, with colleagues, all the way around. There's always a silver lining. There's always something that can be learned from every situation.
I mean, think about it. I mean, do you want to be around somebody that's always focusing on the negatives, everything going wrong, or that's very optimistic and looking at the opportunities ahead, right? I mean, Randy, think about it. You're in your situation, right? Let's say you're stressed out at work, things aren't going right, right? I mean, if you bring that on everybody else on the team, what's that environment going to be like? Is everybody going to be more stressed out? Most likely, right?
Yeah.
And then you bring that into your home life too. You bring that into the family. How are the things that be going on in a family, during the family time if you're stressed out and bringing that environment? You know what I mean? So just that mindset can have such a big impact around everybody around you, especially the leadership position.
Well, and I think one of the things we got to mention on this topic is, one of my kind of three rules of hiring, and one of them is culture is hired and not necessarily trained. Like you're not going to change people, right? You're not going to change the culture of a business unless you change yourself, right? But if you're not intentional about hiring people based on those values and the things that you intentionally set as to be the culture of your business, your culture is just going to kind of become what it is. And if you want to have a little bit of control over that, make sure you're hiring people that match the culture and the vibe that you want to have.
How
Thousand
do you
percent.
By example, right?
how do you
Thousand.
do that then? How do you go about hiring people that match your core values? Can you identify that pretty quickly in an interview process, or
Yeah.
how can you identify it? Yeah, would you say
Yeah,
so?
it doesn't have to be. You're not looking for an exact replication of these are my 4 or 5 core values. You're looking for exact answers. I recommend don't tell your company's core values until you ask the person you're interviewing what their values are. And you're
Hmm.
just looking for somebody that there's similarities, right? You're just looking for some continuity and some similarities in there. If
Hmm.
humility is a core value of your business, and someone comes in and just super arrogant and like I'm the best adjuster since this side of the Mississippi and I get everything bought, or I'm the best salesperson in this side, and humility is a part of your culture, you hire that person, it's gonna affect your culture in a negative way.
Yep.
Hmm.
You can ask interview questions that really have like an underlying meaning. So if you're doing sales department, for example, and say, hey, who's your favorite sports team? The answer isn't who their sports team is do they understand what a competitive environment means? Do they know what it feels like to lose sometimes and win sometimes? So if somebody doesn't understand the championship of I'm going to be a champion for myself. I know what competitiveness feels like. I know what it's like to root and cheer. I don't care who your team is. I've had people I've interviewed and they're like, I don't like sports. I think it's dumb. Well, I think you're going to have a hard time in our environment where it's competitive. We're going to have competitions. And if you you can't correlate the two together, you're going to have a hard time later. Even though I'm not telling what the core value is.
That C3 group.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, these guys were talking trash. We're out at the Hail Trace event for Roofers in Recovery, and I got whooped on some of these go-kart races, man. And Matt didn't let me hear the end of it, dude. And then, dude, one of them, I had a flat tire, dude. Do you remember that? I get a flat tire. I go like off the freaking track, dude. And then I'm getting whooped on, man. It was hilarious. It was a good time, though. So I do. Oh, go ahead.
My favorite, again, I before we switch from, I love the interview question thing. And one of my favorite questions along those lines is you want to ask somebody, what is, a biggest like challenge or biggest challenge you've had to overcome, or what's the biggest achievement you've had? This is their answer is gonna dictate their level of tenacity, their level of attainment, their level of wanting to achieve goals. Like if they said, hey, I used to be overweight and I lost 50 pounds in so amount of time, or I never run a marathon before and I wanted to run a marathon, so I went to work and I trained for 6 months and I ran and completed a marathon. Like those are going to tell you a lot about someone's character, that sort of thing. Or hey, I was on a sports team and we won a high school championship and it was awesome. Or you want to see if they're competitive on that vibe, or what. Our biggest challenge, like, oh man, and what I'm looking for in the challenge question is, do they take ownership or do they place blame? Or another question, we got and Matt put it in here in the notes too. Like,
he's
a whole list of questions we'll ask, right?
Oh yeah.
And the challenge is, what's the biggest challenge you've had? And that's going to tell you, are they the type of person that just looks and says, this is what, or ask a mistake. Like, what's the biggest mistake you've made?
That's it.
In your last job. Oh, I made this mistake and it was because my boss didn't do this and this person didn't do this and the customer did this and I had to deal with it. It was, this is what happened. This is a challenge. This is a mistake. And this is what I did to fix it. Or did they take ownership? Did they learn and did they grow from it? I want that person, not the person that's going to place blame on others.
Well, Matt, like you said, Matt threw it in the comments right here. He asked very specific questions. We asked throughout multiple interviews. We always ask what the candidate values, right? So that kind of goes with what you were saying, Randy. That's important across all teams, no matter what the role. Another thing you said, do they answer a lot of with I or we? Right. So that's another good one right there. I do want to take a quick break to thank our sponsors. After that, Jason was nice enough to throw some notes together for me for the episode, so I really appreciate that. You said some stuff like people don't quit jobs, people quit people, and I want to dive into that side of the thing, but really focusing on development of your people and stuff like that and the impact you can have on your business and the second half of the show. But we'll give a shout out to some of our sponsors. Jason, once we get to C3 Group, I'm going to let you give your pitch on how they can reach out to you and whatnot. So we'll give you some time to shine there as well. But we'll start with our headline sponsor, Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
All right. So if you guys have somehow not checked out Job Nimbus, make sure you're doing so at info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy. And now another issue that we're seeing across the board is proposals taking too long, not looking good enough, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to give a shout out to Sumo Quote. Are you looking to stand out with your proposal? Sumo Quote is the contractor quote that crushes the competition. It is the fastest way to build custom quotes that impresses clients and wins more work. It's one of those must-have technologies for roofing contractors, allowing them to sell faster, sell more, and sell smarter. Be sure to check them out at try.sumoquote.com/start, build, grow. Best part about Sumo Code is it integrates the job Nimbus, man. So everything is in one central hub. All right, now Jason, man, this is usually where we play this great video that C3 gave us, man. But what we got, man? What's the best way to reach out to you? When should people be reaching out to you?
We'd like to say, give us the opportunity to look at a policy. We believe time is money. We believe contractors, when they're coaching their sales team, to say, let's just save everyone time and money. Let us review the policy and just see if it's worth the time spinning, not to spin your wheels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of helps add value to the contractor's team as a whole to say, let us review that policy. Let us get in front of it to say, hey, there's some big red flags, or we have a great opportunity here. Just to add value, no strings attached, just to kind of, add value as a resource to you guys.
I love it. And how can they get a hold of you, Jason?
You can email me at jquimby@c3adjusters.com.
Love it, man. Well, make sure that you guys are getting linked up with Jason. He is a great guy. C3 Group is doing some amazing things for the space. So everybody there, great people. Like I said, culture is a big focus there, and that's the reason why they attract so many great people. So now that's what I want to talk about, man. Is I want to talk about people, right? A lot of contractors all over the country. You hear it all the time. We can't get good people. We can't retain people. You had a couple quotes that you put on here that I thought were awesome, right? People don't quit jobs. People quit people, right? They quit their management. You also had sales are growth. Sales growth comes naturally if you're doing the right thing with the right people, man. So what do you mean by all that stuff? Because I feel like that is so big. Not enough focus on developing people and getting the right people.
Randy hit something that hits home with me. If you're the owner of a contracting company and you own X amount of operations, it is your responsibility to hire properly. Right. And in those tough conversations, when you're going through the process, and it's a grind, you might go through 10 guys before you hire somebody. But if you're setting that expectation properly from the beginning, you're going to know you have somebody who really cares about the growth, the long term of the company. But the moment you take them in under your wing, you are now their coach, and it's your responsibility to develop them. I don't care what they say they know in an interview, they still need to be developed. I don't care how old you are. You always need development. You always need training. Especially if they don't understand your system. I mean, Tom Brady has to go to a new team. He has to learn that system. So the coach and development applies to anybody at any stage. So I kind of take it personal when I hear some contractors complain about their staff. It either goes back to hiring in a hurry, not taking the time to vet these new guys that are coming on, or not setting expectation properly. But let's pretend they do that right. Is it really their fault they don't understand everything about your business? And really kind of goes down to underlying question. Where have you spent that time to coach them? Who's coaching them? And is the training consistent?
Mm-hmm. Randy, how do you feel about that, man? I know that's a big thing for you.
I think you nailed it, man. And it's like, I almost want to change titles, right? And be like, if you're a manager, you're a coach. If you're an employee, you're a team member, right? And it's a team. Business is a team sport.
Yeah,
we were talking about, and I love the idea of coaching. Like, so we've implemented that in our business a handful of years ago, actually, where we have coaching, individual one-on-one coaching sessions. So my leadership team that are running the day-to-day are going to have every 6 weeks or so going to have one-on-one coaching sessions with each one of their direct reports. And that's, what we need to do. Like, our job as leaders is to develop other leaders.
That's it.
Right? If you want to grow a business, you have to develop other people into leaders. And we all grow, all the ships rise. And if you're not focusing on growing yourself, which in turn reciprocating that down and trying to grow others, we missed the ball there. We're missing the point. And I think, that's one of the golden rules of leadership, coming from John Maxwell. He talks about this quite a bit is our job as leaders is to develop other leaders.
Mm-hmm.
1,000%.
So yeah, and you wrote this down too. This is great. Leaders are not responsible for the company results. They're responsible for the people that they need to get the results, right? Development of people is an everyday responsibility. Now, so Randy, you said what you do some one-on-one coaching. That's kind of how you guys set it up, or how do you guys kind of go about regular development of your team?
Well, one, we're always looking for opportunities to train top to bottom. Doesn't matter. Always. There's always a budget. There's always any sort of even outsourcing. I mean, we use like Fred Pryor's systems. They teach everything from intro to QuickBooks to, accounting to, Excel, Word, like they have a lot of, programs. It's a cheap way to do that. That's just a recommendation if you're trying to find
Fred
out.
Pryor, you said?
Fred Pryor, yeah, it's been around for years and years, teaching practical business applications to, to all different roles within a company. We're always looking for outsourced or outside the company opportunities to train everybody from the top, from me all the way down. Like I'm always going to training of myself. I'm in, the John Maxwell program myself, trying to learn how to become a better leader. And we're always looking for ways to do that. And internally, being intentional about setting, coaching sessions up with your direct reports. And I think that's important. I mean, you can learn a lot from someone sitting there one-on-one, and especially, from a direct report position. Like if you're a manager over a team of people, your responsibility is that team of people, and to meet with them regularly one-on-one and do whatever you can to support and help them grow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What about you, Jason? You have anything to add on to that?
He did a great job, to be honest. It's just really developing. I will say it 100 times. The expectations is the biggest area that's dropped, because you might say things in the beginning when everyone's under great terms, and then you get frustrated and resentment builds in later because things aren't being done exactly as planned. So if you don't mention something, then you just gave them the silent approval that this behavior is okay or these results are okay. And when you have those sit down conversations, which you can call coaching opportunities, really sometimes they'll let you know why or how they can improve, but they don't know how to get there, or they're too embarrassed to ask. A lot of times it's a pride issue. Like it's a hard time sometimes for these cocky kids to go up to their boss and say, I need help to train myself, either better organizational habits, time management habits, personnel skills, understanding personality types and how to identify them faster. So there's a lot of training opportunities that some coaches aren't aware that these guys are needing because of sheer ego.
Mm-hmm. What about employee reviews? How often should you be doing employee reviews, Jason?
I'm a fan of the 30-day cycle or quarterly. And that's two different things. It keeps the owner on the pulse of the team. I'll give an example. In C3, we have a quarterly meeting with the whole company. Every week we have manager meetings for the teams in each sections, and we talk about things in our personal lives, and we talk about what's good in our business. And really what it does from an underlying point of view is it lets everyone know what you're going through in a positive manner in your personal life and business, right? So if you kind of scale that out and say, I know as the owner what's going on with my team from top to bottom, then you can't be reactive to what's going on later because you're aware, right? So it's imperative to have those conversations, good, bad, or indifferent. So that review steps says, hey, you're doing a really good job here. Hey, let's work on this the next quarter, right? You're doing a good job here. Let's improve on this, or let's focus on this. But you're not going to have that conversation if you don't know what they've done, what they're working on, and what they need to go towards.
Now, some Matt said here, he said they need to be 360 reviews. Leaders need them too.
So that's like the employees reviewing the leaders. I like that. Yeah.
What do you think of that, Randy? How do you stay in check?
You know what's interesting is, there's a consulting resource group does a number of different assessments, a personal style indicator, a leadership style assessment. We'll be doing the leadership assessment in our upcoming growth mastermind, and I'm flying in the CEO of that company to run a whole session on leadership, like really looking in the mirror of who you are as a leader and what your leadership style is and how to improve on that. But they also have an assessment called PSI 360 or Leadership 360. And what it is a reverse where it's actually an actual assessment where you assess yourself the first time of what you think you are. And then it's where your employee or manager or somebody you work with does an assessment on you. And then you get to kind of compare the two to get a realistic, like, hey, most of the time, like, statistically, I think 95% of people think that they are it's like self-aware, whereas 10% of people actually are self-aware.
Wow.
So that's important, I think.
That could be pretty eye-opening for a lot of leaders, I feel like.
Scary, right? And it's funny, we just talked about this today in our leadership meeting, is is doing a kind of a blind review. Like,
Yep.
hey, send out a survey to everybody. If you're looking at, you trying to qualify for different things for like your best places to work, that's how they measure those. And we may not love the results. We may
Hmm.
be appreciative. I don't know, but either way, I think it's good to do that every so often, to really get that feedback of things that you just might not see. You may not see. So if you're really focused as a leader on humility and getting better, like nobody has it right. I'm not the best perfect leader by any means. I just study leadership and I want to try to get better. So I think that says a lot as how you lead is how you're focused on getting better. So what better way to do that than to ask your team, like, hey, what am I good at? What am I not good at? How am I doing? And take it and do what you can to get better.
Absolutely.
We call that humility.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a driving force of everything we work on. For sure.
So, yeah, as we start to bring this thing to a close, Jason, you've been awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. I know this is a topic you really care about, so that makes it that much better. We end everything with a golden nugget, right? So something you want to leave the viewers with. It could be something to implement, something to avoid. It could be a quote. It could be a moral, whatever you're feeling. Now, I give you some time here because I make Randy go first, right? And Randy is just full of wisdom. Right, so every week, I literally the only reason why I host this show is so that I can hear Randy's wisdom, and then I take that and I implement it, right? So, Randy, for the 169th time, what do we got?
All right. So first off, I've got to put my humble hat. I'm not full of wisdom, brother. I
Full of
appreciate
wisdom.
that. I just pay attention and I
Yes.
listen and I absorb and I listen to books and podcasts and listen to study people that I respect as great leaders. And but what I'm coming to today is I think a little bit of a reality that every once in a while, all of us need to really kind of understand and do a reality check of how we're living our life.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you do in the shadows will always come back to light.
So true.
You know what I mean? I mean, I don't want to die. I don't want to go off the rails onto what's going on in the NFL right now, but like the reality of it is how you live your life outside of 9 to 5 will definitely reflect inside the business and how people see you and perceive you as a leader. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have it all right. We make mistakes, but what you see is what you get, right? And I think we should all do an assessment of how we're living outside of, what we do in the shadows, what we do by ourselves, and how we conduct ourselves outside of work will definitely ultimately reflect how, we the results we get inside of work, inside of 9 to 5.
Yep. Yep. Well, thanks, Randy. Jason, what we got,
Uh,
my friend?
all right, I'm gonna try to lead in with a simple question, and this goes out to every contractor that ever is faced with working 80 hours a week. And I always ask them this really simple question: do you own a business, or does it own you?
Mm-hmm.
And then the example you lead by to your staff is how they're going to turn out, right? What you practice is what you get good at. If you practice empathy, you'll be good at empathy. And if you're good at compassion, it's because you practiced it. So one of the things that when I call contractors and ask them if they can handle commercial projects, we really kind of say our core values at C3 is attention to details, people first. We're client advocacy. We're really passionate about these things because it helps the contractor grow and scale the business so they can have a better quality of life. And it's something that matters to us. Matt makes us take a vacation. He literally makes you shut your email down. So he wants you to own it and say, listen, you're on vacation time. Take it with your family, and it matters to all of us. So again, I'll say it. Do you own a business, or does it own you? If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to improve on your quality of life, this is where the value of C3 comes in on giving you back some time with your family every month.
So good, man. So good. Well, gents, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys today.
Yes,
And
sir.
for all the viewers out there, we appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 169 of the Start Build Grow Show. Randy, aren't they supposed to do something?
Yeah, take a look at your phone, stop driving right now, pull over safely, and click the like button, click the
Like,
subscribe button, click the share button, share it out
hit
with
'em
your
all,
friends, and make
please.
sure to check out some other episodes. We've done this 169 times. A
Yeah.
lot of amazing guests, a lot of amazing conversations. If you liked what you heard today, like what you saw, there's a lot more where that came from. So we love your support and we appreciate it, and leave your comments and as well. So,
Yes, sir.
support, and without our viewers and our listeners, this wouldn't be possible. So we appreciate you, and want to always try to continue to bring you great content.
Yep. Thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 169 of the Start Build Grow Show.
Take care.